It's almost the synergy of patient and tech and outcomes that gets us going.
Hello, I'm Scott Stonham from Interesting.Tech, and I am joined today by Fanie Hendricksz, Managing Director of Right ePharmacy. Yeah, how would you describe the mission of Right ePharmacy?
We're a relatively young startup. We are actually pioneering innovative technologies and customization in the public healthcare sector in the last mile domain. In our world, the last mile domain is the dispensing, distribution and collection of medicine in the public setting in Africa.
What is your personal approach to innovation?
When you look at all the challenges in the public setting, I think we need to say to each other that the normal conventional ways isn't working correctly. And I think that's where innovation are starting to play the role. I'm a firm believer of the saying that if everybody thinks the same, actually nobody's thinking. So our whole mandate is to listen to the patients and innovate and customize accordingly. So it's all about for us to have a patient-centric, innovative thinking method in our team.
What pioneering solutions are you providing in the public health setting in Africa, and what are they used for?
We've got quite a lot of products in the market currently, but I think the four that we can really highlight is firstly the PDU. You can see the PDU standing here behind me. In essence, that's a ATM pharmacy. So that's our flagship product and our innovation that we got off the ground in 2016. We currently got 18 of them working. So what the ATM is, in essence, it's a live dispensing point where the back end is driven by robotics. The front end, or the console that you see here, is then connected to the robotics with an integrated system labeler, which actually labels the medication patient-specific. And obviously, it's all linked up into the cloud where the patient can actually live chat to a pharmacist to dispense the necessary or required medicine live. And obviously, it's a two-way interaction and both got visuals of each other. The main aim of that is obviously to actually, pioneer disruptive dispensing, distribution and collection of medicine. So this is really our flagship product. The second one is actually more of a customization. So a couple of years ago, we were challenged by donors to see if in-pharmacy automation can work in Africa in the public setting. You use robotics to assist pharmacists in overburdened pharmacies to dispense. So the amazing thing about it is we customize our solution for local requirements. We collaborated with Omnicell, which is a US-based company. And we're very proud to say we've got 3 pharmacies in the public setting now fully automated, and we've done about 700,000 dispensers. The third one is what we call centralized dispensing. It's mail order pharmacy, or like I would say, the e-commerce model. But we've put it into a setting that suits the African continent, and we've basically customized that to take some of the prescriptions which patients need to collect monthly out of facilities for patients to collect at alternative pickup points. I think one of the challenges that then arose was, alternative pickup points became a challenge. And I think the reality of it is we then looked around and see what else we can do. And then on this side, you will see the Collect and Go smart lockers, worldwide known as for e-commerce. So we basically customize that for the collection of your pre-dispensed prescription. So locally manufactured, temperature controlled for local conditions. So I think that is obviously to give patients an alternative pickup point that's convenient. And we've obviously realized the value of something like that in a pandemic like we've got now with COVID.
You mentioned one collaboration, but you must be collaborating with many other organizations. Who are you depending on? Who are you working on to bring this to life?
We've been very fortunate to have Right to Care, which is one of the leading NGOs in Africa, as our only shareholder. We were also supported by the likes of USAID, GIZ, Global Fund, Omnicell, our tech provider, and then AWS on the web services side in Africa. And then obviously all supported by our development partner, and software maintenance team of BBD.
How would you describe what you're doing and the impact that you're achieving?
We want to make it as easy as possible for people to have access to care. The quality of care mustn't be where you live or what you earn or something like that. The right medicine to the right patient at the right time as conveniently as possible.
Give us a bit more detail about some of the problems you're trying to solve.
Firstly, there's a very, very high demand on the healthcare sector in Africa. We've got overburdened facilities. We've got actually a lack of infrastructure to help the patients. And that obviously has got an impact on the access and availability of medicine. There's a massive shortage of pharmaceutical staff in South Africa, so that obviously negatively impacts the quality of pharmaceutical services. And then I think, if you take the patient-centric approach, the patient convenience is a bit of a nightmare. To give you an idea, we've got patients waiting 4 to 6 hours to collect their chronic medicine every month. And I think, when you go through that, it obviously got a negative impact on your adherence. And I think one of the key things is when you go into a healthcare facility in the public setting, most of it is paper-based manual systems, and I think that's one of the other challenges. So very difficult to manage a patient, very difficult to manage your commodities. And I think then, there's the big thing of the cost to the patient and the economy, so patients need to travel. In a rural setting, they need to spend a fair amount of money monthly to collect their medicine. And they also need to take off days of work. So it's got a negative impact not only on them, but also on the economy of South Africa and Africa. And I think, if you take all of these together, you're really looking to impact that in order to have better healthcare outcomes.
How did you go about designing this solution? How did you go about building it? I can imagine it's great to have the idea, but actually getting the thing in motion and getting it right is a challenge. Tell me more about that.
Firstly, you need to understand the problem. I think you need to understand the patient. You need to listen, not to respond, but to learn. And I think we've got a very dynamic team in ePharmacy that's got that capabilities. So I think then what we do is we reach out to our development and support partner, which is BBD, to assist us, obviously, with the development of the problem and the solution. And I think, we leave the architecture and the tech for the experts, while we, obviously, being in healthcare, focus on what we know well.
How are your solutions exciting from a technology point of view?
Our measurement of tech, we measure that in the success we've got in our patients, So we get excited when the patients get excited. Then we get excited about the tech. So, it's almost a synergy of patient and tech and outcomes that gets us going.
The solution, as we mentioned earlier on, is obviously very dependent on some of the cloud connectivity. How did you go about executing on this?
Cloud technology is so important for healthcare in Africa. I think, when it comes to, patient records, data exchange, and how do you manage a patient, enable our cloud solutions via BBD and their team, So they obviously were the enablers of almost gelling all of the solutions into one medical record, if I can call it that way.
Tell me, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced as you tried to bring this to market?
When you bring these pioneering and innovative solutions to the patient, change management, just takes a whole new definition. So, it's literally from patient level to healthcare worker, to management level, to Department of Health, to Ministry of Health, to donor, to funder. So it's all those change management that actually makes it quite a challenging situation.
What was the most character building or the key lesson that you learned with all of this?
When you're doing pioneering work, we always joke about it. We also say you meet a lot of people that's got a problem for every solution, so that makes it quite interesting. But I think when what we've learned is, I think the essence of the success of what we've done is, all credit to our team. We've got a fantastic team of people in ePharmacy that really, think alike, that's energetic, that's I would say it's got the cap on to make a change. And I think the one thing is, two ingredients that's key for me on them is, they're creative and hardworking. So that to us is key, And I think the other thing is you need to be agile. Decision making happens daily. You need to be agile to make those decisions, and I think that's one of the other things that's important. I think the other one would be, obviously like I mentioned earlier, listen to your customer, listen to your patient. And then like anything, you need to have a fair amount of patience. Things move slower than you always wanted to. But I think that in essence is what we've learned.
So what's next? What's the future look like for Right ePharmacy?
So we will continue to focus, innovate, customize, and focus on last mile dispensing and distribution and collection of medicine. I think we've reached a point in the business life cycle where we now obviously need to look at growth and key collaborations. We're currently in 4 countries in Southern Africa, and we want to expand that and obviously grow the presence. So I think, scaling and growth. And while we're focusing on scaling and growth, obviously I have the one eye on a few new innovations and probably solving a few new solutions as we go about our day.
A big part of what I do, as we've talked about already, is really looking at how technology is helping to achieve some of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. I've got my mind as to kind of some of the ones that you're really hitting hard, but how do you see it? Which ones do you think you're really able to contribute to?
One of the biggest problems is access to care. If you improve access to care, you've got a positive impact on a patient's life. A healthy patient is a productive patient. So, we can't expect to grow the economy if we've got unhealthy patients.
You mentioned earlier on the importance of having this great team behind you to overcome the challenges, to deliver these game-changing solutions, life-changing solutions. Intrinsic, extrinsic motivation. What are your thoughts on that? And what's the importance of getting the right balance in your team?
The one thing for me that always stands out when you meet somebody is the energy levels or the passion, and then you also get the thinkers. And I think it's how do you combine that mix to create a culture that we create the 1 + 1 is 3. So I think we've been very successful in that. And I think the one thing that we do is, we play to each of our team members' strength, and we align that to the benefit of the patient. So I think the nice thing is when our own staff sees the impact they're making, it's a massive activator.
You mentioned the importance of agility. There's a huge component of software in everything that you're doing. So what's your strategy when it comes to building the software, managing the teams, and especially coming to scaling and growth?
Initially, when the startup started, we were actually doing all our development in-house. And I think the one thing that we realized quickly was, as the problems in healthcare becomes more that you want to, I would always say, solve, we became slower. We made a critical decision to outsource all our development to BBD. And I think looking back, it's just been a phenomenal journey for us because, they're good at what they do and we're good at what we do. So I think the relationship works very well for us, and our turnaround on dev and support is just much quicker. So our progress has been really phenomenal in the last, let's say, 2 years. With collaborations, you can move forward quicker. So we, as a business, we're always open for collaborations on other parts of the world. So we'd be happy to engage everybody or anybody that's willing to collaborate or add value, and obviously got the same like-minded outcomes of patients in mind.
If people want to get in contact with you, what's the best way to get hold of you and Right ePharmacy?
Yeah, the most easiest is our website. It's www.rightepharmacy.co.za. So just put in Right ePharmacy and you'll find us.
Thank you so much for joining me. It has been wonderful. Have a good day.
Thank you, Scott.